Thank you so much, everyone, for joining for the session. And Parth would be OE is something that is very critical to what we do, and we'll try to cover broader aspects on what we do here and how can we help to sort of supercharge OE. We'll try to keep it conversational. If there's any queries, happy to answer with the session. You can drop in your messages, and we'll try to make it as fluid as possible. Before we jump into the whole conversation, I'll pull up our presentation, give a quick introduction on both the presenters. So I'm Rishi Sharma, one of the co-founders at Facnon Labs. I look into product and investor relationships primarily, with a decent amount of customer experience. But then with me, I have Parth, who has way more experience in terms of customer exposure. Parth, over to you.
Yes. Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking your time to join this webinar. So myself, Parth, I am a CMO and part of core team at Faclan Labs. I have experience of working with many industrial customers where we have implemented different solutions, and out of which OE is one of the hottest topic and area and metric where everybody wants to improve. So so let's see what discussions unfolds in this particular webinar. And we, like Rishi mentioned, we would have this entire thing very conversational.
Yeah.
And let's see how it goes.
Absolutely. Like we are very excited. And so without further ado, we'll jump into before jumping in, quick background on our venture as well. We are an industrial AI company. We work with large enterprises. We have worked in more than 400 factories, so we have a lot of exposure in terms of understanding different types of needs. We have worked cross-functional, be it working with steel industries, cement, pharmaceutical, automobile. So we have seen a lot and we learned a lot. So, so with that, I think the best thing would be to, I think let's just jump in.
Yes.
Awesome. So Parth, what would you say? As in, we hear OE a lot. I think it's good to give a quick introduction, like just a refresher in terms of what really OE is at a very high level.
Correct. I think everybody in the industry is aware about what overall equipment efficiency or overall equipment effectiveness is.
Yeah.
And it is really important for everyone to measure it accurately to actually understand how effectively they are using the capacity of all the machineries they have across the board on their shop floor. And yeah, so I mean, if in terms of measuring overall equipment efficiency, of course, like everyone knows, it's availability multiplied by performance multiplied by quality. But to truly understand the essence of overall equipment efficiency, it's about understanding how effectively you are using your assets and equipments. So, for example, when we talk about availability, it's like, let's say you have 150. Uh, let's talk about a time frame. It's measured over a time frame. So let's say you have 200 minutes. In those 200 minutes, let's say 100 minutes, the machine has gone off. It is in some downtime, some mechanical or electrical failure. So you don't consider that in your calculation. But for the remaining 100 minutes, your machine is available.
Yeah.
So you can run that machine. Now, out of that 100 minutes, you are running that machine for only 80 minutes. And when I say running, it's about the time for which it is producing, right? So let's say if it is producing for 80 minutes, then your availability would be 80 by 100, which would be 80%.
Yeah.
Now, while it is producing for those 80 minutes, you, let's say, are producing 80 units in 80 minutes. So every minute you are producing one. You are supposed to produce one, let's say.
Yeah.
So that is what people call rated capacity or rated throughput of an equipment.
Okay.
And in that, it was supposed to produce 80, but it is producing only 60.
Okay.
So then you have 60 by 80 as your, which is 75% as your performance.
Yeah. So basically, the theoretical capacity was 80,
Hmm.
which the OEM or the manufacturer rated.
Yes.
But then you're actually going suboptimal in terms
Right.
of what you can theoretically produce,
Right.
even within the time frame you're running.
Yes.
Perfect. I
So
understand.
that is the performance. Like, you know, you have a car
Yeah.
You are driving at, you're supposed to drive 100 km per hour, but you are driving at 80. I don't know if this example is really good or not, but it's about performance. And then comes the quality. So you produced 60, right? So in that 60, if you are producing, if only 30 units is something that is ready to sell or qualified by your QC, then 30 from that 60 is your quality, which is another 50%. And if you multiply this 80 by 75 into 30, that would be your overall equipment efficiency.
Get that. So that's the rejection and acceptance.
Mm.
So in the end, what I understand is that if I have to summarize this as a layman, essentially OE gives me like a report card on what theoretically can be produced and what I'm actually producing by considering three elements: availability, performance, and quality. Availability is what you're actually running, like designated run time, uh, within what you can technically run. Then within that runtime, how much of outcome you're producing, given what theoretically you can produce, given OEM's rating, and within what you're producing, how much of that is being accepted as a favorable outcome rather than being rejected. So multiplying all of that gives me like a score.
Yes.
So if I say my OEE is 60%, so I could have produced 100 units of something, but I'm only producing qualified outcomes of 60 units.
You go at a, you measure this at a machine level, then you measure it at a site level, or let's say a subsection level, which is, let's say, a certain set of machines.
Yeah.
Then you translate it for the site, and then you translate for the entire business.
Yeah.
And then if you're running multiple business, you translate it to the entire enterprise.
That's amazing. So you're scaling it across functions, across whatever scale. So the thing is that it's an amazing concept, very I would say intuitive in a way in terms of scale, also understanding, but also can be expanded across the whole enterprise.
Right.
And that is the reason why it is like a go-to metric across all the manufacturing units.
Of course.
And by the way, there's something that is already being used and everybody knows about it. So if that would have been the case, the session would have ended right now.
Of course. And then there is a question why it matters.
Yeah.
Now there are in the industry, you will see people look at OE in different ways. See, one way is okay, how effectively I am producing, that we discuss a lot, but it is also related to certain decision making also. So, for example, let's say if I want to increase my throughput, so what should I do?
Yeah.
Right. So this breakdown helps to understand whether should I focus on availability, whether should I focus on performance, whether should I focus on quality.
Okay.
Right. And so that is one. Another area is, let's say, if somebody comes and tell, okay, sir, there is a lot of demand which is coming, we have to produce more, I need another line to produce. But now, should I invest 100 crores or whatever to establish that entire line?
Okay.
Or should I look at the V metrics and see, okay, you can actually fit in to produce in the given set of lines.
Squeeze more,
three
basically.
lines. Yes.
Yeah.
So this also helps someone to actually understand how they are going to strategize their capacity building.
That's most important. And the idea is to squeeze as much as possible because more is always good in a way.
More is always good. More actually brings down the conversion cost. Companies who have higher overall equipment efficiency, they would actually have a lower conversion cost because they will produce more with a given set of machines,
Exactly.
in given set of time, in given set of manpower, in the given set of energy. So it actually not only talks uh, about on the you can say top line, but it also affects the bottom line also.
100%.
Where you talk about the conversion cost.
And that's at an operational level. In fact, at an investment level, this also affects your ROC, your return on
Yes.
capital expenditure. So what you're deploying as capital to be amortized or sort of return back in 10 years, 15 years, this also squeezes your return back period, which is the most important thing in terms of investment decisions.
Right.
So there's a whole 360-degree impact on this.
So now we understand that OE is very important for EBITDA transformation.
Yeah.
And so now let's get started on breaking it down.
Yeah.
Into two important areas. I mean, people understand the value.
Yeah.
Right. But the point is, when it comes to execution or implementations, right, there are two important things. One is where you think about measurement.
Yeah.
Because of course you have to measure, know what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Another thing is people go beyond measurement to actually identify or use technology to have some active intervention and strategies
Okay.
that could be used to actually do the improvements, or you can say transformation. So
Yeah.
in this particular whole discussion that we are going to have,
Yeah.
we would not only speak about OEE, but we would also speak about ways to actually transform overall equipment efficiency by leveraging Industry 4.0. And now, as we are in the age of artificial intelligence, Industry 5.0 is already here.
Yeah.
It's not knocking the doors. It's here already. So yes, of course. I think we should focus on this slide.
No, that's good. And we'll cover a lot of these grounds overall. So I think to take the conversation back to OE, it's very important to understand limitations of traditional OE. Some of the points I mentioned here, that it's not just diagnosis, it's giving you an overall picture. But the thing is, there's a lot of nuance. If you start marrying a lot of contextual insights, like the whole idea is, if you're getting an OE, any amount, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, you need to understand why is that the number, and why is there a gap? And then there are two parts to it, or there are three parts to it. There's a past historical trend on what is your baseline, where you are in terms of current OE, present, given your current order book, current production, sort of water production planning you have right now, and future in terms of what interventions and actions are need to be taken. So OE becomes the sort of center metric on which, as we marry a lot of context around these past, present, and future, we can create very rich insights, which we'll talk about, which is what leads to autonomous. So it is something which in isolation is powerful enough, but once we marry with a lot of these autonomous systems, it just becomes game changer. Plus, one more thing, OE is disconnected from business outcomes in terms of profitability. So it's very important to look OE in terms of utilization with overall business aspect, right from what your order book looks like, what your production process and your supply chains look like, what your delivery mechanism and sort of customer needs look like. So that is where the true P&L effect or EBITDA transformation tends to happen. So it's not a one size that fits all, but using it and leveraging it for much more higher sort of, I would say, higher degree outcomes, it becomes very powerful. And we'll deep dive into all those things. One quick question from a customer POV. We have seen most of the customers tend to have different degrees of OE being used. What are their typical pain points?
See, normally different customers would have different pain points depending on how they are manufacturing and what they are manufacturing, what set of machineries you have. Is it a batch production? You have a line, or you- let's say, or you have a continuous manufacturing, right? But typically, if you see one of the so if you take an example of some industries, right, their OE would be less because they are not able to schedule the production properly, right? If they are able to schedule the production properly, all the machines would be available. But then there is no mechanism of contingency. Let's say there is a new order which is coming in,
Yeah.
and you have to deliver it really fast. Then how do you adjust?
Yeah.
So there again, those kind of planning also plays a role. Then again, let's say when we talk about, let's say, availability is just a number, like 50%, 20%, 30%. But what you do to improve the availability? So
Yeah.
you have to take all the breakdowns, all the downtimes. It could be planned, it could be unplanned,
Yeah.
right? So planned downtimes could be, let's say, you're measuring how much time it is taking to change over, how much
Switch
time
over cost
it
times and all
is
that.
taking to process setting, how
Yeah.
much time it is taking to, let's say, some other activity like lunch time. People
Yeah.
are also tracking the lunch time,
Tea breaks also. We have a customer where we track tea breaks also.
right? So, and then you like rightly mentioned supply chain, right? If my equipment is down, I need to improve the MTTR or MTBF, all those maintenance metrics,
Yeah.
that how quickly I turn the machine on.
Yeah.
So for that, I need to also have inventory properly tracked, all the different kinds of failures being tracked, and then my inventory is optimized accordingly so that I can reduce the turnaround time. And again, order books needs to fill, right? I need to make sure that right manpower is allocated to the machine,
Yeah.
right? If let's say I don't have enough order, I should not have my manpower allocated. So there are a lot of decision making that goes into improving OEE.
Yeah.
It's not just that you measure the matrix, see the numbers, and it is going to do wonders for you.
Yeah.
So we need to look at all the interventions that are happening, all kind of decision makings that are happening,
Yeah.
which is affecting that. And there we need to look at the interventions of digital,
Exactly.
which I was talking in terms of transformation. So that is the limitation, that people just stop at measuring.
Exactly. And this is a perfect segue into answering the question, why now? Because this is very important. So all of the aspects that we just mentioned, I think 3 years back, all of those things were done technically, as jargon say, through AI and ML, which were basically deterministic systems. So I think this is a good segue in terms of explaining a quick sort of overview of industry 1.0, 2.0 to 5.0, where it is right now, and why right now we have all the toolings and technologies to exactly do what you said, because all of these things are non-deterministic and very reactive in terms of, like a specialist operating, understanding all the nuance. You cannot hard code, you cannot do fuzzy logic and sort of if else sort of scenario. A system really needs to understand all of these different verticals or different silos of insights, what is to be done and what is being actually done, and then take decisions as an expert.
Okay.
That is where industry 5.0 comes in. So as if you can see on the screen, if I have to give a quick journey, industry 1.0 sort of started as manufacturing sort of just came in uh, to okay, so this is something. Okay, no worries. So essentially, the industry 5.0, the whole journey is that industry 1.0 is when like production line sort of came in. 2.0 as the whole things sort of streamlined into proper production lines. 3.0 is when automation happened. So a lot of manual work that goes into production lines, that sort of that a lot of manual work that was being done is now automated through SCADA PLC systems where automation takes over. The good part is for the last decade, Industry 4.0 did the gap of giving eyes and ears to those production lines. So IoT, the whole job of IoT was to have sensors and sensing in place. So right from machines to production lines to process planning, everything became digital and we have digital footprint on what is actually happening. And this gives the perfect way to Industry 5.0, where we have the ability to now analyze those data points available and take actions and understand what is to be done. So that is Industry 5.0. Apologies for the slide, but that's a sort of broad journey, right from just manufacturing to a production line to automation to data enablement and now intelligence enablement are the five broad pillars of Industry 5.0. And why now is very simple. I think with the advent of generative AI, it is now possible to do highly complex, fairly non-deterministic sort of workflows across data silos and decisions schemas, which is not just if and else. There are experts like maintenance expert, production line expert, recipe expert, compliance expert, plant head, promoters. Like all of the people have different types of sort of expectations and expertise. And we need to have these multiple systems, agentic systems that understand the nuance of taking those decisions and able to crunch these insights and recommend on what needs to be done.
Of course.
So yeah, so that gives way to what we are doing. You want to add anything on this?
I mean, if you look at the transition, right? When we had automation in play, uh, you have to adopt.
Yeah,
Right? Otherwise, you will become obsolete.
that's the name of the game.
And then today, we are learning to understand how we can utilize data, And if you look at those lighthouse companies,
Yeah.
they are making the most of the data. And using that information, actually, they are actually standing apart.
Yeah.
In terms of their reputation, in terms of the products that they are delivering, because digital, they are actually leveraging the digital.
Yeah.
So now leveraging digital is really important because you want to stand apart in the market. And tomorrow, of course, today and tomorrow, it's always competitive.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure all the corners are covered in terms of cost, in terms of quality,
Yeah.
in terms of all the important things of manufacturing, and for the data is important.
Yeah.
That everyone have understood. So we don't today discuss why we want to bring this data on board, right? We want to make this data. We want to make decisions based on data.
Yeah.
So it has improved accuracy of decision making
100%.
with Industry 4.0. But now you have so much data. How many decisions you're not making? The question comes there. So now to further uh, uh, cut the corners, we have to leverage technology which could help us to find out issues which are happening.
Yeah.
Tell us what could be the probable root causes, and then helping us identify root cause, and then provide recommendations on what needs to be done. And this is something where generative AI can come really handy.
And generative married to a lot of these systems which are already built as feeders.
Because let's say what happens in Industry 4.0, you get all the data, you get all the reports, you get snapshots.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the dashboard today. Yesterday this happened.
Mm.
Day before yesterday this happened. Yesterday my OEE was 50%. I say, okay, why it was 50%? He says, sir, I don't know, but today it is 100%. So that problem and that loss was of yesterday. Yeah. And it wasn't addressed. Yeah. So today you need a system that can actually address this kind of problems on real-time basis. Then only we can unearth the value, generate that value, which is really important. So real-time actions you can only take when you're watching that data in real-time basis. Yes. And showing a real-time data, how much a human eye can see. 5 data, 10 data, 20 data, right? And then you have so many eyes, so many minds. Yeah. But imagine a brain which is monitoring almost thousands of parameters across your plant alone. Exactly. At that granularity, it's humanly impossible. Yeah, 100 eyes and 1,000 brains in action 24/7. Right. So if it looks at those data, then it can actually give you the areas where you need to focus on without miss. Exactly. And to sort of give you a context how much value unlock happens, we have seen customers where the OE, though it was a 15-18% increment, it was overall 30-40% increase in throughput. In fact, there was a report from McKinsey where overall digital intervention sort of at an enterprise level had a more than 20% P&L effect. That is ridiculous. Like 20% is your profit margins almost sort of do double or 60-70% increment on that, which is ridiculous. And the best part is the cost of deployment with the current technologies, that the cycle times of going live and going full scope is just a few years, right? From inception to going full blown end to end. We can do that at a fraction of a cost, and as if the things go well, and again it's a marriage of management and people like us bringing the technology and users of the technology. It pays for itself in matter of quarters of months, if not even years, if done right. So it's always a land and expand. So it's not like you need to do everything on a single go. You start small, slice by slice, and every slice is paying for itself. Yes, and ultimately you build foundation for AI, right? And whatever you do has to add up to your larger vision. Exactly. So that's true. So let's try to do a little deep dive into moving ahead in terms of role-based impact, because we know there's a whole 360-degree impact. As you can see, there are people across the board, right from shop floor to maintenance, production, quality, even the IT infrastructure. Everybody is a beneficiary of what we're doing. I think we'll just run through this quickly. If you want to share some anecdotes in terms of what sort of impact typically these people see, I'll also take a few. Yes, of course. I mean, with digital transformation, everybody across the board gets benefited. Uh, One important area of benefit is that people didn't knew what's happening. So with data, of course, they will be able to understand.
Yeah.
A production guy, his problem is to understand what are the orders he needs to fill, when he has to deliver, and how much he has to allocate to the machine. He has to make those decisions,
Yeah.
right? If he gets a co-pilot, let's say he gets an AI, which actually, when he can, which is already having access to the ERP data, to the MES, or let's say all the machines real-time parameters and everything, the AI can actually help him make most effective calculated decisions. It can do all those, optimization algorithms and tell you, okay, hey, you put this on that machine, put that operator on that machine, you stop this, you start that. All those decisions it can make.
Perfect. So the whole,
So,
yeah.
so that is an example for a production guy. I mean, similar example would be there for a maintenance guy. He'll come to know really fast of any impending failure which is happening.
Predictive and also
It's a
work order automated for that person
Mm.
and given like a whole SOP and SLA in terms of what needs to be done. So the whole idea is that with OE at the center stage, as we deploy autonomous on top of it, which we'll do a little deep dive later,
Yes.
the whole idea is that it percolates into action, bespoke recommendations and automations for different stakeholders, tailored for their SOPs and SLAs and their best practices.
Yes.
And that is a superpower. One number, OE, is now guiding people across the board, taking best in class actions to optimize and push that further, and that to almost real time basis.
Okay.
No monthly, quarterly recommendation or sort of reviews. No consultant needs to come in. Obviously, consultants can always come in for more audits and give even better recommendations. So the idea is it's not a one-time activity. Once you deploy this, those best practices can be made autonomous and on real-time basis across functions. So I'll take a
It
quick,
can it
yeah,
can help you make decisions. You making day-to-day decisions, right? So it will improve the accuracy on those decisions, number one.
yeah,
And so that makes you productive, right?
yes.
And then it will also help you to make those decisions which you are not making because you
So
don't know whether you have to
decision
make them.
gaps, you make more decisions. That's one.
Yes.
In fact, I'll also add a layer. Taking decisions is one thing. I would say doing the homework for your decision. So when I say doing the homework, it gives you a pre-baked framework. And in fact, there's a whole concept of human in the loop, which we'll again touch on later. So the systems are one helping you to take more decisions, but also doing a good part of your homework in that decision by giving you a pre-baked version on what needs to be sent further. So now the job of the guy getting the job done, for example, management, now they have a report in place or a draft in place on what they want to tell to five different people. They move from curators of actions to be taken to reviewers. So this reduces cycle of, for example, 10 hours work to now only 2 hours of work with a lot of best in class activities already done.
Yes. And I mean, it will also automate decisions, right?
Yeah.
It will give you solutions. And it may actually, I mean, we'll speak in our upcoming slides, but
Yeah.
it can also go to actually automate and make physical changes.
Exactly. So I think this is a very important slide, which is where a lot of people, and this is a common question that we have seen across the board, which is the way I put it, industrial automation is everywhere, but industrial autonomy is just scratching, like it's just getting started. So the whole idea is that how do we move from automation to autonomy? And this is where traditional systems, dashboards, reports, and observability, as we say it, marries with the current cutting edge AI and agents. And the whole idea is that if I look at the whole flow, it is sense, think, act, and human in the loop. Most important piece. So the way, if I have to just take a step back, all of these are different personas of people taking action. Let's take any example. We're talking about production line. So in terms of agents coming in, we have this IoT systems, we have these industrial automation systems, which are feeding in a lot of data on what is happening. There are ERP systems where you have a lot of these uh, business goals and targets in place. The system is able to think as an expert, available 24/7, be it an auditor, be it a consultant, be it a process guy, and not just think with best practices and industry specific and plant specific SOPs and SLAs in mind, but also act in terms of raising alarms. reaching out to right people with actions to be done, with the required framework done. And then once that framework is done, like I said, that you have this draft, the human in the loop transforms from taking these three steps as a curator to now a reviewer. Now 80% of the work is done. The most important part is human creativity. He can now focus on his expertise and focus on just fine tuning that. So, given 5 hours of available work, instead of doing the grunt work of just doing low level tasks, he's now focusing completely on high level tasks to just make sure whatever goes ahead is of the highest quality. Because as we have seen, like running the business, running what we do on a day-to-day basis, time is the most expensive commodity, especially in manufacturing setups. Everybody is very busy because there's so many things going around. Everybody is running. So the most expensive commodity in running a plant is time. And what these systems give you is a lot of time by doing a lot of your low level work, which doesn't require a lot of intellect. And you can focus on your high level intellect and also giving you better observability. So this is where autonomous is just a game changer.
Yes. So running the mill, lesser time would be required.
Yeah,
Improving that mill, you'll have a lot of time.
exactly. And this is where you unlock more and more and more efficiency. And you're able to achieve those theoretical limits, getting more closer to those theoretical limits of performance. And again, this is all possible because we are marrying two things: traditional systems with current cutting edge agentic and AI systems, which can absorb those systems, and our platform really helps to do that in a much more seamless way. Uh, Absorbing those insights and running inferences on top of it.
Yeah.
I think this is
I think we can move to the next slide.
absolutely. I think it's a good time to also answer a couple of questions as a myth, because again, we talk to a lot of customers, and like we just summarize a few of these things. One thing that we hear a lot, that OE alone drives improvement. I think it's straightforward. Like OE identifies symptoms. We need to analyze that. We need to understand what is the nuance of that, and then understand the cure and take action on that.
In real time.
Speed, exactly. A lot of times, what happens if speed is not taken care, a lot of these smaller issues tend to hide in broader scheme of things, and they sort of
You
buckle.
have to attack the waste
Yeah,
there and there itself.
exactly.
Otherwise, it will be a loss, right?
And sometimes hidden losses, sometimes small losses like 1,000 cuts, but leads to a lot of bleeding. Yeah. Second thing, sort of question that we typically get is our team can react fast enough from delay, and this is a very common thing, by the way, because we know there are experts running the show. In fact, they are very good people. Like they are the experts running the show. The whole idea is that yes, they are running the show. Time is one aspect, like you said, it has to be done in real time. But there's also consistency angle. There's also decision fatigue. Ultimately, humans running the show are humans. We tend to fall sick. We tend to be in a cranky mood sometimes. We tend to not feel like doing it, or we're not in the best of our efficiency. So these systems also tend to make sure that the baselines are lifted, even on day-to-day tasks. So time and baseline efficiencies are two things which are very important. And the third thing is even more interesting. There is a myth that deploying like cutting edge, not even like high quality, what is technically possible right now, given there's so much work being done with OpenAI leading the charge. There is Claude, like Anthropic doing so much great work. Meta is also doing so much work. So there's so much cutting edge technologies being invented right now. So people tend to be like, it's very expensive. It takes a lot of time.
I think sometimes what we think is luxury today is a commodity tomorrow. So
Yeah.
think of a smartphone, right? In our ages, we don't used to get a smartphone so easy,
So
right?
easy. We don't used to.
Right. But
Altogether.
today it's a necessity, it's a luxury, it's a source of information for everyone. And similarly, AI tomorrow is going to become commodity,
Yeah.
for everyone to use. And you have to embrace it. I mean, in today's world, if you're not having a smartphone, I mean, there is a lot of information that you would not be able to see because you don't have access.
Yeah.
Similarly, you need to have access to AI tomorrow's world, and that world is coming to, I mean, it's going to get commoditized really soon. So having access to AI on your fingertips has to be there for everyone, and you know, so it's something that you need to have in your pocket.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow's world.
In fact, given our experience, uh, we have, like I said, we have touched more than 400 factories till now. It's actually not that complicated. Obviously, it is it's a very complex technology. Like I won't underplay how complicated it is. But the thing is, the wrappers and the technology layers that we have built, at least I can speak confidently on our side. And there are many people doing amazing stuff on it. As in, we are not the only magical island out there, but we are definitely one of them. So, given the ease of use of current technologies, right from data to inferences and insights to action, deploying these complicated systems at a bespoke, customized level for every factory is not that big a challenge given what we see, what we have built already. And it's one, not that complicated. Second, it's not that costly, not at all, I would say.
See, it looks challenged today because we don't know, right? It looks challenged because, I mean, a lot of people are comprehending how it will work, right?
We know. A lot of customers don't know.
Yes, yeah, customers don't know. But once they know, once they understand, that is the chasm they have to cross.
Yeah.
And after that, they can leverage it like anything. I mean, if you want to learn finance, you have to study a couple of books,
Yeah.
and then you will be expert, right? You would be able to see all those, articles and everything. You'll be able to understand what gibberish they write, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing for manufacturing. I mean, they have to get their understanding to that level where you would be able to easily comprehend and apply
Get
these
that.
technologies to improve your productivity. So, I mean, everybody should be on track for that thing. Should
Ab-
not be the case where you are,
So it's a
like
problem of taking the first step. And again, we'll again put ourselves at the center again.
and we activate them, right?
Yes.
So that's what we do.
So
Today we activate people, we enrich them with data, and now we are helping them to leverage AI in its
exactly.
truest form.
Exactly. So it's a recommendation. Like people should at least do a few POCs. This will lead
Of
to
course, I
taking
mean, you
much.
have to invest in POCs, all those things, because learning these things is going to be necessity. I mean, you cannot run away from that.
Absolutely. So in terms of taking the next step, in terms of how do we go beyond just OE? I think the way we look at it, there are four broad pillars, and we'll do a deep dive in all those four things. There needs to, and this is what we call as digital readiness. And there's a very interesting concept in technology called technology debt. And one thing that we need to like emphasize, choosing the right technology is also very important if you're starting your journey. Unless what happens, you're halfway down and realize a lot of the plumbing that you've done coming here is not scalable. It's not built for the future. So, and surprisingly, a lot of the legacy systems provide a lot of supporting infrastructure, but not the forward-looking stack that it needs to be. And that's the whole idea. Like the new technologies always
I
come.
mean, if I look at the automation industry, where there are a lot of players who providing SCADAs and different things, they keep on releasing new versions.
Yeah.
It's not backward compatible. You have to buy a new one. I think that has to stop. And the foundation system has to actually be something that can set you up for a couple of decades at least.
A decade,
Right.
at least.
Decade at least.
That's a different conversation altogether on backward compatibility. But yes, I think starting with the right infrastructure is very important. So again, with that context, I want to like give you a quick journey in terms of what it takes to go beyond OE. So there are four pillars. One is a unified data infrastructure. What that means is that there are different data sources. You have industrial automation systems, SCADA, DCS, PLC systems are there. You have ERP systems, you have sensors out there, you have different types of manual logbooks to be digitized. There are a lot of situations where there's no data altogether. You need to install certain sensors to get data sufficiency. So first step is to get that data lake, or as you call it, that unified data layer, which is one very important future ready for current workloads. Automation is not data heavy. But analytics and AI is much more data hungry because for every new inference, you might need to sort of poll thousands of assets of data on a daily basis for new learning and new inferencing. That is a lot of data pipelining work where you need modern data infrastructure. Then the second thing is your predictions or your inferences, AI-driven insights. LLMs work on inferences. LLMs alone are not very effective in terms of figuring out trends within the data. So we need, as we call it, AI workbenches or middlewares to derive a lot of these operational inferences, right? Be it your machine data, be it your ERP data, be it your sensor data, whatever. We need to provide a lot of inferences on that. Then we need to run optimization and autonomous action, which is where LLMs have become very active, where you're now analyzing a lot of inferences with a lot of best practices and domain expertise. And once you have all those insights in place, then you need to empower people because AI in itself is not that powerful. So it's because all of this is passive, it's reactive, it's not active. It's not like AC automation where you can do a lot of like just by optimizing HVAC control, you're reducing electricity consumption. It is much more nuanced. You're creating comprehensive multi workforce action points. Like management has to take certain decisions in terms of recruitment. Then operators need to take certain decisions on set point changes. Utility guy or maintenance guy need to make certain decisions. So it's a coordinated attack on a problem to squeeze those efficiencies out. So unless we unlock people and make them much more enabled, we cannot unlock these efficiencies because you have the diagnosis and the prescription in place. But if you're not following the medicine routine, you won't get sort of strong.
It's a man-machine game.
It's a
Right?
man-machine game.
It's not that AI is going to do everything. It's going to be man powered with empowered with AI that can transform everything.
Exactly. Perfect. So let us move quickly, and we have to open the call for questions also. So we'll move a little faster from here. Like I said, the first step is to get a unified data infrastructure. So, like I said, you have these different sources of data points. It's very important to one, converge them into a single source of truth, and where you're storing the data needs to be future ready. Second, we need to then derive a lot of these insights. So, like I said, you have predictive maintenance, anomaly detection, quality, demand, and supply, like supply chain forecast. In fact, bespoke AI is also there where you're not conforming to any black box use case. Your plant, your processes, your culture is so unique that we need to deploy something very bespoke. So all those things needs to be deployed to get inferences. Now, once you have those things in place, then you're sort of using your optimization autonomous systems to get these action points worked upon, where it's like a closed loop, or it's like a sort of a cyclic system. The system recommends, there are people in the loop which are using it, and they're also giving recommendations on making it better. So there are use cases around automation, use cases around production planning, use cases around process parameter optimization, golden batch and recipe optimization, workforce automation. So there are different use cases where specialist agents needs to be deployed to give those insights.
I mean, one is where you are doing an open loop system where all this recommendation information dispensing is happening for
Yeah.
someone's decisions. But now tomorrow we also have to have a system which can actually automate things.
Yeah.
So for example, I want to control a robotic arm, in a way where it is not mechanical, like if else conditions are there.
Yeah.
Right? And it has to have a brain of its own.
Yeah.
Machine needs to have a brain of its own. So what operator does is that there is a machine, there is some problem that is happening, he's going to optimize some set points, set parameters to, let's say, control the output or control the machine so that but the losses are not there in terms of quality or throughput or whatever you want to call it. So active interventions which human does on a machine, that can be automated with AI.
Yeah.
And that can actually also create a tremendous impact, and it can actually unlock more than 20% of the efficiency of the plant easily. So that would be the end game.
Yeah.
Where AI would uh, run the show. It will run the plant on cruise control. right? You don't need to
In
worry
fact, in
about.
fact, cruise control, and by the way, easily is when things are done well. But I'll say one thing: cruise control is something which I feel there's a new analogy. Cruise control is industrial automation for me because you can like cruise control cars have been there for 20 years now. You can automate on a single line. That's what's happening. What we need is self-driving. So what we bring in the picture is
Of
what
course.
self-driving did to cruise control.
Yes.
So the plant is already in cruise control, by the way.
Correct.
What we're bringing here is self-driving or some form of self-driving at different levels, depending on how we go and
Yes, of
deploy.
course. I mean, there are any event that happens, then there is a decision tree. This is that it takes
Yeah,
another action based on that. So yes, it needs to navigate different
as a smart expert.
situations
Yeah,
to just like you have obstacles on road.
absolutely. And that's the frontier. Like I said, this is where it is cutting edge. Awesome. And then, like I said, it all boils down to everything is a recommendation. Everything is a 80%, 90% work done unless people take it up. So the whole idea of all of these things is to enable and empower people. And in fact, there's always a conversation. I think we'll go a little deeper on that later as well. Uh, are we replacing people? No, not at all. In fact, we are supercharging. We are trying to, what we're doing fundamentally is moving the focus from redundant, non-productive, or non efficiency dense work to a much more high efficiency work where a lot of this grunt work can be automated, a lot of this sort of low level or low uh, repeatable work is automated.
Of course, I mean it's a new tool in your. I mean it's a new gadget in your pocket.
Exactly.
You buy a car so that you cannot walk, right? That automates, right? So it has to be looked as something that is going to be a gadget that you're going to wear, which is going to empower you to do certain things really fast,
Yeah,
right? So it's not going to replace, it's going to transform people, and then I mean, at an overall level. Yeah,
absolutely.
of course. If
And
people
then
transform whatever they are doing, uh, it's a cascading effect.
exactly. And the best part is if you look at it, this autonomous comes at different flavors. So for example, this AI Copilot. AI Copilot is like a Q&A bot for you, where you can ask questions bespoke, and it's also a questionnaire on specific dashboards reports as well. You have assistants, which is doing a part of your job, and which is where autonomous comes in and doing a bit of your thing for you to validate or to fine tuning. Then you have no code UX and elements where you can just recommend and ask and like the whole AI SDK piece where there's no context. So you can just ask, can you create a tool for me to do this activity? Which is unheard of. Like right now, with all these things, we can just ask this to not only give me an answer, but rather create a tool for me. Yeah. And give it to me. That's insane. This all leads to upskilling workforce and having a cultural change where man and machine work together. What you said initially, the whole idea is to augment decision making, augment day-to-day activities by having this a supercomputer, super intelligence is a stretch right now, the way it's moving. It will reach there, but you have a PhD level person. You have a very smart graduate or a postgraduate at your disposal 24/7. That is in itself is amazing.
And you have something who has access to all the data. I mean, you don't need to call anyone, right?
Exactly.
To prepare a report for you. You don't need to be dependent on so many people to make decisions. I mean, there is maintenance data in CMMS system or some logbooks or someone's computer.
Yeah.
There is some SCADA which is in silos. There is an ERP system.
Yeah.
Half of the people will not know how to access that effectively, right?
Exactly.
So everything is contextualized, and then there is a bot in front of you that is going to help you answer all your questions that you have, fetch data from wherever you want, make decisions.
Exactly.
That thing would take so many follow-ups, so much things. Now that thing will go. So it's a good
Exactly.
comfort to have.
In fact, to give comfort to people, this also comes in with very tight and almost watertight sort of compliance angle because you can always define rules at an agentic level on what type of persona can see what. So even if they're asking something critical, uh, typically it's managed by humans on what they want to dispense or not. Systems can have this whole check in terms of what people can access, what type of data, and all of these can be done. This whole validation on data dispensing in real time basis. So if an operator is trying to look for some recipe secrets, they can't access it. But yes, if somebody in the R&D division is trying to optimize a recipe, they have access to even the operational data and in a format where they can consume. So that just changes the game.
Of course, I mean, with AI, with digital twin, what we are talking about, that is also going to transform the R&D. It's going to bring whatever R&D into mass manufacturing really fast,
Exactly.
because you can simulate everything in the digital world and then bring it to mass manufacturing. So there are so many use cases.
Exactly. And this all again knitting back to, and I just want to spend 2 minutes on this, knitting back to the whole point of OE. This all is possible on two things. One of the most important things, the heart of the OE is IoT integration. We need to make sure that the data is connected in a seamless way, warehouse in the right way. And this is where most of the vendors or most of the technologies tend to fail, relatively speaking, because mm, most of the companies tend to focus only on the software side of things. If you don't have great data, reliable data, everything else makes no sense. So the heart is, if you're able to do the IoT integration very well, the whole downstream intelligence can be much more scalable and reliable.
Yes, of course.
So this is where the whole aspect of OE as the heart, as the center stage of decision making, augmented with a lot of these agentic systems to superpower these people, powered by the second thing, which is the ITOT integration, uh, a robust data infrastructure that allows for future-proof analytics and downstream intelligence.
When you cannot have an AI that is operating on half knowledge, right? It has to know everything.
That's
Otherwise,
scary.
it's a recipe of disaster.
Exactly. Awesome. We'll move a little faster so that we can open the floor to questions. Uh, I think we can skip a bunch of these things. Yeah, I think we've covered this at a high level that when we're trying to supercharge OE, that different types of agentic use cases at a high level. If you're looking at production agents, maintenance agents, quality agent, dashboarding agent, even creating custom apps agent, SOP, SLA agent, supply chain agent. So across the board, we can create bespoke workflows, we can create bespoke intelligences. So the whole idea is that we can deploy personas of very smart people, 100 eyes and 1,000 minds at action. They are working 24/7. They are smart, they're sharp, they don't leak. Obviously, we have to pipeline it well. We need to make sure that we are able to, of course, configure it properly.
There is a lot of thing that goes beyond this agents,
Yeah,
right? There are multiple agents behind that doing their piece of work. There's huge data pipelining and infrastructure underneath.
yeah,
So of course, I mean, a lot of things have to be configured right
yeah,
in order to bring about this agent to actual application.
absolutely. Awesome. So, yeah, I think we have covered more or less. Okay, I think this is an interesting thing. I will take a quick pause and like I think there are a couple of questions that typically people ask. Uh, Security. Security tends to be a very interesting question, and I think I'll take this up quickly. I look at security on two levels. There is a security at an infrastructure level in terms of your IoT infrastructure data not leaving your premise or being in secured ecosystems. Security in terms of people accessing the show, transport layer, how it is warehouse you can access. But there's also security around insights, consumption, and recommendations. So the good part is, from our POV, we work with industries across the board. From our side, from infrastructure perspective, we are already following the best practices. At the same time, because everything is so configurable, the tooling is so agile, even at a consumption level and analysis level, we can create as many guardrails as possible through Chinese walls in terms of, uh, I would say, fuzzy logics or guardrails around access and visibility to post-processing validation in terms of no data leaks to unauthorized access.
And of course, I mean, we can also put private LLMs if you don't want to.
100%. That's one of the
Because
best thing.
that, yes, data is crunched inside inside those boundaries, right?
Exactly. We call it bring your own keys. The thing is, you can use enterprise, great. You bring your own LLMs from enterprise providers like OpenAI. You can host it. We can host it for you. So even at a LLM level, the data doesn't leave the premise. The second question, which is very important, how can we start small and improve ROI? The best part of digital intervention is you can start as small as possible. Slice and like salami slicing. You can choose small scope, small projects, one by one, small wins. So there's a very interesting line. Start small, validate fast, scale rapidly. So you might start small, that's okay, but the management buy-in has to be there to quickly validate the use cases. Once you see the value, and again, like you said, it's a necessity as people are adopting this. It's like mobile phone. Initially, it was a luxury, but now it's a commodity. Everybody needs to have it. So early movers will have a lot of advantage in terms of adopting it and learning also. So you need to start. You can start small, validate fast, but as soon as you see validation, you should move very fast, rapidly scale up.
Of course. And I mean, in today's world where we are seeing a lot of upgradations and new technologies and everything is coming up,
Yeah,
it's very important that at the start you pick the technology provider
yeah,
who can actually sustain you for long period of time.
yeah,
Something that can actually be really tailor-made for you. And provide something that also allows you to have a lot of flexibility to build a lot of things on top of that. So those kind, and technologically the stack and everything is future proof. So all these things needs to be seen, because even you start small and you try to scale, and half the way you realize that, okay, this is not getting supported by the vendor or the partner or whatever. So those future roadblocks also needs to be really well understood, because that can really hamper. And that's where I think platforms and those kind of technologies, because people don't assess them.
yeah.
I mean, I go and sell something, people don't ask what technology you're using, what tech stack is there. No questions asked. It's just, this software, this does five things, he wants
Value.
five things.
They want to see value.
I mean, this does five things. They want those five things. It will give five things, but tomorrow you want six, seven, eight. Because see, when we talk about digital transformation, it's not about that. You have this requirement which is fixed for next decade.
Yeah.
You will have a lot of improvement. You want a lot of things to go on top of that as things evolve. So in this start, when you are buying technology for digital transformation, it should not. It should go through a different process altogether, because otherwise what will happen, you will go with another vendor, restart, and that's the loop where which you should avoid. Even
Absolutely.
though initially you have to go with some vendors who are a bit expensive.
That's always the case. I think we've already overshot the time, so we'll move a little faster and try to open the floor to for questions. Uh, yeah, I think we'll have.
I think we can skip.
Yeah, I think this, if you want to, I think we've already covered this in a way in terms of
Yes,
a
yes.
typical roadmap. Like I said, you start small, you start engaged. Yeah, I think we have covered this at a high level. We'll definitely share this separately so people can have a look at it. And yeah, I think in terms of playbook also can share separately. I think before opening the floor to everyone, the thing is, as a part of our series, as a part of our initiative, we want to talk to as many people as possible, and we want to also conduct a full-fledged sort of a digital readiness assessment. And the good part is this, it is all on us. So if people are interested, we want to take further conversation, take the conversation further, want us and our experts team to talk to you, even do plant visits, happy to do that. Uh, Please have a look at the link. Uh, do register. We are more than happy to do a deep dive and also do a digital assessment and give recommendations. So, so with that, I would say we can open the floor for questions. Aditya, can you help us on this?
Amazing. Just give me a moment. I'll just open the floor for questions. Just give me a moment. In the
Yeah.
meantime, if you want to cover anything that has been missed out, a few people have joined just recently.
Yeah, I have
So
a
for
few
them,
questions. I'm going through it like Matthew asked a question. Can upskilling workforce be the first step? What do we train them upskilling perspective? Or, is it tools? What kind of tools? Would we leave this use case discovery engineers? Data transformation. Okay, perfect. So Matthew, I think I'll take this opportunity to quickly answer this as there's opening the floor. Yes, upskilling is very important in terms of even knowing what is to be done. But I'll give you a very good example. Given our experience, what has happened, no matter how much amount of training you give to someone, unless somebody uses the product in their real life, the true understanding is not there. So it has to be a sort of a balancing act. If you do a lot of technology execution and not focus on upskilling, change management won't happen. So adoption won't be there. So obviously, we need to balance new technology introduction at the same time upskilling people by engagement. And the more engagement happens, that feedback cycle starts because the thing is, these tools tend to have a very quick impact on their day-to-day activities. So so as soon as they start using, it's like tasting blood. As soon as they start tasting it, this really accelerates the change management and the whole journey of upskilling. So initially, yes, we need to balance technology delivery as well as some bit of onboarding, but married to utilization. I think that's the most important thing. Using these technologies on day-to-day activities. That would be
okay,
my recommendation.
just a quick one. Camera access and mic access has now been started. So whoever wants to ask a question, feel free to turn your cameras and mics on and give it a go. Really. Next question is actually from Vishwanatha Reddy. I believe he's from the airports business.
Sure. What kind of OE can be done for airports? You want to take it up?
Right. I mean, for airports, there are utilities, and then there is, all this flight getting scheduled. But I need to understand what assets and equipments we are talking about. I mean, of course, I mean, if you're so
Yeah, I think I'll take this up quickly. So the thing is, airports tend to, again, with our limited experience, because industrials has been a bigger focus, but we have worked with a few airports. Uh, Airports tend to have a major multi vendor ecosystem. There are just so many vendors out there. So uh, OE can be like Par said in the initial part of the call. You can do OE at a machine level, at a process level, at an enterprise level. So a good part of this can be applied into running the show, be it multi-vendor. We have worked on utilities, we have worked on infrastructure. That's applicable. Like maintenance cycles are there, utilization, thermal profiling, like running air conditioning itself, because one of the major costs for a facility
Sir,
manager, an
actually, hi,
operator.
sir. Good evening.
Yes, sir.
yes,
You're audible, sir.
Uh, Vishwanath Reddy from GMR Hyderabad International Airport.
Yes, sir.
Actually, here I wanted to actually we have HVAC like chillers. In that, most of the power consumption is related to HVAC only and lighting. In terms of HVAC, almost 50% of the consumption is HVAC. In
Yeah.
that, what are the best solutions you are going to propose to achieve energy consumption
Get that, sir. So let me
savings?
answer that. So the thing is, the way I look at it at a high level, my two objectives are comfort and energy saving. So what that means, I
Yes.
don't want hot pockets and cold pockets. Fundamentally, I want to maintain ambient temperature across the board. That gives best comfort and best energy saving. Now, if it's a huge airport, there's district cooling, or there you have chiller based systems across the board. So we look at three levels. There's a chiller side where you're doing CPM, chiller plant managers, and all those things to optimize energy at that level. Then you have these chilled water cycles across the board. You have at a AHU level, and then at a dispensing at a sector level, you're doing set point management. So that way, this becomes my full cycle. Chiller, my cold water going across the board, and my dampers running the show. And then there's a whole supply chain. So right from maintenance cycle to operating cycle to managing the VFDs, AHUs, all those things can be taken up individually and seen. How can I squeeze 5, 6%, 3% energy saving on them?
And of course, to further optimize, I think we need to marry this data with footfall, occupancy, as well as the real temperature in that particular zone that is being supplied by any particular AHU, rather than only focusing on the return air temperature set point. So probably traditionally people do a return air temperature set pointing, that okay, you need to maintain certain temperature in particular zone. But let's say if people are not there, right?
Yeah.
If there is no one there, very less people over there, maybe you can adjust those set points. And I've seen a lot of airports being really cold than necessary. So
Cold pockets, yeah.
yes, so there are certain areas which are really cold unnecessarily. So I think those things are something that needs to be looked upon, which is not there in a traditional HVAC automated systems. To look into the occupancy and also to look into the people flow inside and the temperature where they're breathing. So
We can, sir, have a look at it independently also, separately, but just giving you a quick gist, like this is the high level system schema. And then, like I said,
Okay.
at
Okay.
every level, we can do a deep dive and see what best intervention can be done.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
I think that's lovely. Thank you so much, Vishwanathaji, for your question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? I know we are short. We sort of short over our time, so we do realize that. Our apologies.
Yeah. So any questions around OEE agents, data pipelining, setting ITOT infrastructures, any challenges anyone has been facing?
We planned a demo also, but I know we missed that also. But we can take it up separately also offline.
So I suppose in the nick of time, we'll take 3, 4 questions. Then we'll ensure to have a post call form, which is in the chat. Anybody who wants to book a call post this session, please fill in the form in the chat, and we'll reach out to you ASAP.
yes, 100%. I mean, we had an overview, but yes, we can have a very detailed discussion, very specific discussion to your shop floor. So would be really happy to engage.
Okay, so we understand it's late in the evening. I hope this session was helpful, and happy to engage as a follow-on. And yeah, I think that's it. We can wrap it up.
Yes, of course. And we will soon have more webinars. With more feedback, we would be able to, communicate better,
Get better.
over the period of time. So really thankful to everyone who have joined, spend their time, good evening free time. So
Yeah.
thank you, everyone.
And special thanks to Vishwanath ji and Matthew sir
Yes.
for your queries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
So we'll just possibly stay back for like 2, 3 minutes, everyone.
Sure, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.